maybe it's the government.
It's definitely the government.
Get my get my tinfoil hat real quick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Government.
Could do that in AI afterwards. Just get you giving it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad we're already rolling. That makes me really happy. Oh, that's so good. Man. Well, hey, welcome to the All Heavy Podcast, everybody. I feel like I haven't been able to get to that first line without laughing in a long time. That's a great thing that I happen to be joined by three incredible humans. That is just a thrill to do this together. We laugh and we smile, and yet there's just a lot of great discussion that comes right along with that. And it's great to be here with all of you who are tuning in, who are watching, who are listening, and Kirk, Marsh, Ben, it is great to be here with you guys. How are we doing this fine day?
Doing good,
Yes,
Mike.
Yes. Doing very well.
Awesome.
good.
Awesome. So glad to hear. Let's dig into I hope this isn't pulling off a Band-Aid or bringing up repressed memories or anything that gets a little too traumatic, but I think it would be really helpful to talk about some battle stories today. We had an episode in the recent past where we talked a little bit about some advice that we would love to give people who are just kind of starting out in the journey. And when we walked away, that was a great conversation. I thought it was awesome. But when we walked away from it, there was a piece of me that none of us really touched base on, but I'm pretty sure that all of us believed, was this idea that along the journey, there will be difficult things that happen. And that, that covers, could be no end to the subject matter of what those difficult things are. But I found myself wanting to go back to the recording and want to give some advice on how to punch through some of those difficult things, or even just to kind of speak some of those difficult things out loud so that you're normalizing it a little bit and you're giving people permission to be like, oh yeah, me too. Like I've totally dealt with that. And I'm so glad that it's not just me, because I kind of thought I was the only person on the planet who had that problem. And so for us to kind of share some battle stories, they don't have to be wildly awful, gory. They might be just tiny little things, but really I know that there are a lot more complexities and pain points, if you will, along the journey of artistry that perhaps don't get talked about all the time. And so I think it's okay for us to talk about these. That doesn't mean that any of these are showstoppers or that these things completely inhibit us from creating art. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. We would not be having this conversation. But I think it's going to be really good to dig into this and to see what kind of encouragement we can bring by normalizing some battle stories and that. And to kind of tee up the whole conversation, I would love to read this post from an account called True Stories, but this post is about the movie Dances with Wolves. I'm going to read this real fast, and then we're going to launch into it. In 1998, in Los Angeles, Kevin Costner walked into a studio conference room holding the script for Dances with Wolves and said, "This will cost $20 million and I am directing it myself." Executives stared at him like he had just announced his own career funeral. Costner had spent months hearing the same rejection. It's too long. That's too expensive. It's too quiet. No one wanted a 3-hour Western told in Lakota with a first-time director. Orion Pictures finally agreed, but only if he took $3 million up front and accepted all the personal financial risk. Costner signed without negotiating. His agent warned him that if the film collapsed, he would owe more than he earned in a decade. Filming began in South Dakota in June 1989. A violent storm destroyed 20 miles of fencing and scattered the buffalo herd across the plains. Each animal cost $1,400 per day. Costner climbed onto a horse at sunrise, and that's awesome. Costner himself climbed onto a horse at sunrise and spent hours with wranglers rounding them back into position. He returned to set covered in dust and told the crew, "We roll again. The story comes first." Production fell behind. Crew members quit. Investors threatened to pull financing. Cinematographer Dean Semler told Costner that waiting for perfect light would ruin the schedule. Costner looked at the ridge they needed and said, Well, then the schedule breaks, not the scene. The buffalo stampede became the breaking point. Remote cameras were buried in trenches so the herd could pass inches above them, but 4 cameras were crushed. The sequence cost $2.5 million, which again, like we're talking about, 35 years ago, inflation a little bit. That's wild. That scene alone cost $2.5 million in 1989. Costner refused, though, to move back. He wanted to feel the ground shake because the audience needed to feel it too. By the end of production, the film was 20% over budget and hanging on by a thread. In the final mix, Costner watched every cut, every sound pass, every frame. At the first test screening in 1990, the audience stood in silence and then applauded for a full minute. The film earned more than $420 million worldwide and won 7 Academy Awards. People said it was ego, but Costner called it belief. If you think something is worth doing, he said, you walk toward it until your legs give out. This is why Dances with Wolves exists. He carried it when no one else would. That's an awesome story. I absolutely love that. And again, we could talk about, he knew it was going to be a big success, or he knew it was, was going to, win him the best director Oscar, the best picture Oscar. I love that last line, that if you think something is worth doing, you walk towards it until your legs give out. And the goal wasn't this thing needs to explode. The goal was this thing needs to exist. I believe in this enough that it needs to be done this way, and that it needs to come out to the world with this vision colliding with the effort and all the and just everything coming together. The fact that Dances with Wolves exists in the way that he intended it is just, we just read, that is a feat beyond probably what a lot of the battle stories in this circle have had to deal with. But regardless, I see that as someone, Costner being a true champion of a belief that he had in this piece of art needing to come to life, and willing to fight through the things that made it really difficult to do so. And yeah, there was certainly, a lot of accolade and a lot of profitability that came out of that, which is great. But the fact that he was most proud that it existed and that it came out in the exact form he wanted it to, I think that's the coolest thing about that whole story. Right. So without any further ado, I think we go around, and it can be fast, it can be long, whatever you got, but let's just share some battle stories and maybe what you learned from it, and we can kind of chime in a little bit and maybe tell you that you're not the only one who's dealt with that, or maybe you are the only one who's dealt with that. But we'll let's share some battle stories.
I'll just touch on the, I guess, rejection piece a bit, because I think in relation to the story you just read, that's a big part of just art and creativity in general, and sharing it with people, and the vulnerability, putting yourself out there, having the I guess confidence to share something with people, maybe on you could share something on social media. That's a big step. And then when you get to a place where you're, okay, I want to see if this label will help with my release, or I'm going to pitch for this project or this small film or something like that. I could give many specific examples of times I've been told no over the journey of making music. But if we're talking about, maybe in terms of wanting your art to support you, maybe more as a career, if you want it to support you financially. I have been discouraged many times, and if I had quit any one of those times, or just been I'm not any good, this isn't worth my time, people are telling me no in this, and obviously I wouldn't be here with you guys or anything. And I just think if someone was asking me what to expect, I would probably just say, it's just the way you roll the dice. You're going to be told no sometimes. And it's no indication that the effort and the things that you're making are, bad, I guess. I feel like what I try to take from those things is, how can I use that feedback to where maybe there's a door closed? How can I use that specific feedback to help me get better in certain ways, rather than only being discouraged and only being, super bummed out? And there's a natural part where that happens, but then moving past that, and then, you continue to work on your thing. I mean, I'll give one very specific example, which one of the biggest kind of like moments for me, somewhat early on when I was on like a work for hire contract with a library they were like the main source of my income for like 3 years. And then they let me and a bunch of other composers go during COVID. And yeah, like I was on a family trip with my kids when I got that email from them that they were letting me go. And
it's vacation. Let's celebrate, everybody.
Yeah.
Yay, yeah.
You just don't expect that kind of, you don't,
Yeah.
I mean, dude, like 3 years, I mean, you know, I viewed that as my job, right? Like,
yeah.
That was the main way I was making money doing music. It was pretty much the only way at that time. And I just remember thinking like, how am I going to keep doing this? You know, there's like, I've been doing this for 3 years. These guys have been paying me and now they're not. I'm going to have to go get a job and this is all going to be over. And that was a difficult time to kind of push through. You know, from that, I eventually connected with Ben just because I was cold emailing people who like were either releasing music that I liked or, you know, just kind of like putting myself out there. And so, you know, I feel like that story is a great example of when those doors do close. It's hard to kind of see down the way what's going to happen. But like that specific time for me, you know, kind of brought me to, you know, connecting with all of you guys, which has obviously been like the next really cool chapter of my life. So
it's been pretty good, I guess.
I'm of course glad that I didn't throw in the towel at that point and give up on music. And here we are. So I think just to kind of tie in with the Dances with Wolves like that, which is that's an amazing story also of like, what would have happened if he hadn't have made that film or just given up based on that. Some people telling him no, you know, and I think it's a somewhat obvious thing, but it doesn't make it any easier to obviously roll with it when that stuff happens. But I think it's kind of a good thing to somewhat mentally try and prepare yourself for that. It's just like the nature of the game when you're, you know, putting stuff out there like this. So yeah.
Whew, thanks for sharing that, dude.
Yeah, man.
I think for all of us, we're going to have some kind of experience like that where something big is kind of like a big door closing or a potential big door closing, which forces you to kind of get outside of the box that you're in and explore other things. And those, it can be bigger or smaller things, but I know for myself, like what you describe, even if it's in a very different context, I had exactly the same type of experience. This was back in I think it's 2016. I was trying to figure it out. They were around 2016 and we'd been doing Salt of the Sound for 3 years. Like it was not a significant portion of our income, but it was growing and we were excited about it and we were like, yeah, this is what we want to be doing, and we're kind of, you know, pursuing this and, you know, taking sacrifices in other areas of our lives to kind of make this work. And we got an email from our distributor at the time, which was Ditto, and I'm happy to mention them because they were a very bad distributor. Please do not work with Ditto. They if you look them up, they do still exist, and like, please do not work with them. Choose any other distributor apart from Ditto. Man. But basically that, and this is, you know, we're talking almost 10 years ago now, and we were accused of streaming fraud, like significant streaming fraud, which we like, obviously we had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
I had noticed on our Spotify for Artists that our stuff was kind of, you know, doing pretty well. I say unexpectedly well. The numbers were higher than perhaps what I had expected. So I was kind of like curious as to what was going on. But as we were not doing anything, I hadn't really even heard about streaming fraud, that kind of stuff back then. And yeah, they were like, yeah, we're going to take all your stuff down. Like, this is it. You're you know, basically ends here. And, you know, I kind of tried to call them. I wrote to them, kind of like no responses. I wrote to Spotify. I was like, hey, look, we're being told this, but we did nothing wrong. Like, maybe we've been added to some playlists, maybe with good intentions. Who knows? Like, but this is not us. But I was fully expecting, you know, within the next kind of weeks that our stuff would all come down. And it forced Anita and I to discuss this in a way that was like, okay, all our eggs right now are in the Salt of the Sound basket, right? And yes, we had some stuff in Bandcamp and all the rest of it, but basically it was like, this is basically it, right? We need to diversify. we need not to have everything in one thing. And we need to work with better distributors. That's, of course, a thing as well. But basically, that was the moment when we decided, okay, well, we have this idea for Salt of the Sound, which we've been percolating around, but actually it didn't quite fit within Salt of the Sound. We need to do this as another project, and that was Narrow Skies. So we started this whole season's project with Narrow Skies shortly thereafter. And that moment was the moment where basically everything split off from what we'd been doing, and we launched Narrow Skies. A year later, I did Antarctic Wastelands. Anita started doing things under her own name. We started the label. As a kind of development from that, we started bringing on other artists. And that was the moment. And it came out of something which was really, really challenging. And we were like, oh my gosh, this could end everything that we've built for the past 3 years. Actually, it turned around and became something really, really beautiful. And as it happened, I mean, through whatever powers that exist, our music did not end up getting taken down. We changed distributors pretty shortly thereafter. And, had multiple distributors because I was like really paranoid about having everything at one. And so it ended up not being cut, but the feelings were very present at that point. And the concerns and the worries, and that kind of just caused this business decision, this artistic creative decision, which has really enabled me to, like you're saying, Marshall, this has brought me to here. If I hadn't done that, if this hadn't happened, probably no Echoes Blue Music, probably none of this stuff. Or at least not in the time frame that we were working towards.
Yeah.
So
it's very real.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I mean, scary.
I feel all those things exist. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I just feel for you in that moment when you thought the stuff was going to be taken down, right? Because like that seems like a never ending situation when you're in that. It's like, how am I going to get to the other side of this? So yeah.
Feels helpless. Like that the system is just so big, and just to sit there and to know that there's just no guarantee that any amount of endless work from you is even going to solve the situation, for sure. That's wild. And I've had that sort of thing happen to Dear Gravity as well, where someone's attempted to hijack the moniker. So it's a little bit different, but posting stuff on the moniker and I don't think I'm alone in that one.
No.
At that point you're like it feels pretty violating, but you can't, when you're on a lesser distributor, one who isn't, like Ditto, like one who isn't vouching for you and who is almost assuming like guilty until proven innocent sort of thing. Like that's a really unfortunate place to be, because they are the ones who are going to be able to influence and exact change on that sort of things. So to have, definitely to give a shout out to the fine folk at Identity Music who have taken just great care of just a number of artists in the All Ambient family and all that. They've done a great job of helping safeguard some of those things from happening. You can't safeguard everything from happening, but you can definitely stop a lot of it and shield a lot of that. But Ben, I remember, and you, this is kind of tying a lot of things together, but you helped me out on a thing. It wasn't Dear Gravity, but it was another moniker that had also been hijacked. So somebody was posting stuff to that moniker, and then I believe, to what I'm assuming, was using fraudulent, or was trying to scam some streams to the moniker. But now that they had put a couple fraudulent albums up on it, they were they were like, hey, let's get some more streams to to those albums. But then Apple Music just completely took that moniker all the way down. Like everything just yanked it. Apple Music, so not the distributor, but the DSP itself, not Spotify or the other ones, but Apple Music was like, no, we are done. And that happened to me, Marshall, while we were on vacation as a family in Orlando. Like and my middle son was sick at the time, and he had thrown up on the plane, and we got into town at like 3 a.m. and like it was just like this cacophony of bad things so I was already like trying to figure out how to get into a good mood again. And then all of a sudden this thing just bottomed out on me. And Identity Ben, you were so instrumental in helping me get that secondary moniker, moved over to the Identity world, and really helpful in that. And I thought it was gone forever. I was like, what is actually happening? I did wind up, I think the total in I mean, it was probably about 10K in royalties, streaming royalties that probably bottomed out, which sucks. But it wasn't forever and ever amen, which is great. And all being told, to know that all of that happened in a way where, and that was, it was a couple years ago now, for all that to have happened in a way where I know that moniker is safer than it's ever been. Or there's even been a couple things that have sort of happened since then, and I've just gotten great messaging from the team. Be like, hey, there's this thing going on. Just want to talk about it. Where are we at on this? We're here to, to vouch for you. And it was just so reassuring that they really cared. So the lesson learned is it is so worth it to have a distro company that is going to vouch for you and is going to take really good care of you. But the battle story of just, and again, I know I'm not alone in, and clearly Ben with your story already, but in monikers getting hijacked or in, hey, fraudulent things happen. So away goes this and that. That feels like it's very, very commonplace these days because it's so accessible to do it. But the lesson learned from that for sure is that your distro, they are worth their weight in gold.
Yeah.
If you get the ones on your team. Yeah. Who else? You got any other ones?
I've definitely got more, but I'm going to see if Kirk,
I've got a list. I got a list.
I got a list. I'm just trying
Kirk's
to think.
like, I'm good, man.
Yeah, nothing bad has ever happened. Everything's been easy.
he's like, well, God, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah. No, I have like a little bullet point. It's funny because I was like, I remember like a vivid story, and maybe I'll share that one. But like, I'm just trying to think of, I feel like so many times I felt like this is it. This is the thing that's going to like get me in the industry, and like now I'll have a career. Like there's so many times I felt like that's happened. From, I guess, I'll be 44, 45, something like that in June. And like, I've been trying to do this.
Bleep that out.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't care.
I'll be bleep, bleep, bleep.
Yeah. I've been, since like I was 22, or like, it's been 20 years or whatever. I'm just trying to think of all the times that it's like, oh, this is the thing that's going to like be my career. And I think those things lasted for, a handful of years, and then something else would happen. But it was like, I won't do any like story necessarily, but just these are funny things that I realized while we were talking. I was like, I remember being in a room in Atlanta with a band that I was in with Usher's mom. And we were all there, like, and she was like developing Usher. She hadn't met Justin Bieber yet, and made him blow up, and we were like, hey, Usher's mom, like, you want to, and she turned to the guy and she was like, oh yeah, they could be in Walmart. There's music could be in Walmart. And nothing ever happened from that. But I was like, dang, like that, whatever. And then there was another time where we were developed by Al Bell, who was like, he was like the president of Stax Records back in the 60s, and like launched all those soul music and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, now we're going to we're going to be famous. Like, it's going to work, I remember getting like a booking deal with like a booking place, and we're going to get, gigs, and getting signed to a production company that did trailer music, and we made all this stuff for this library. And I remember like 6 months later getting a check for $19 and being like, okay, well, I guess if I can make 100 more of those, then that might work. I remember getting approached by, all these things. And it's like, okay, make this thing and we'll do this thing. And trying to produce people and make records for people. And, things worked and things didn't work. And just like, you're just trying to do the next thing to try to stay in it. And there were so many opportunities to quit. And I think that's something we've all succeeded in not quitting. And so I think for me, I can remember still being a producer, still trying to start making my own catalog of stuff, instrumental music in the mornings. And then like, I think I've told the story before, but it's like, I'm at the beach on vacation. This is actually kind of a good vacation story, but it's like, I have a 2-year-old.
Not the Stingray one.
Well, no, not that one. Yeah, that was later. That was terrible. Worst pain ever. 4-year-old, 2-year-old, pregnant wife at an Airbnb, but it's like at someone's house. So we're like in the upstairs of the Airbnb. It's not even like we're all in one room, on vacation, and like they're all taking a nap, and I'm like doing cold calls for like curators and things, and like But I got a message from this one girl, and she had a playlist with like 1,000 followers, and I was like, this is it. This is gonna this is gonna work. And like it was just this little kind of sliver of like, hey, like you get something people like, it's okay, keep going. And this is, it's just that kind of thing where it's like what he's saying. If you believe you have to make what you have to make, you're gonna walk after it until your legs go out. And it's kind of the thing where it's like so many times that you think the thing's going to be the thing and it's not the thing. But if you believe that this is kind of what you have to do, you're going to keep walking towards it, and you're going to keep putting yourself out there and getting, a majority of no's and a majority of crickets. But if you do not give up and you continue to either work on your craft and put yourself out there, I believe you will win the battle in the end. So yeah.
Love that.
And I think on that note of, pressing through that, it's also just very, I guess I don't know if encouraging is the right word, but like you get to a certain point where you've made it through those hard times enough where you know that something else will kind of reveal itself, I guess. You're kind of like, okay, I've made it this far. I've been let go by the place that was my main source of income. I've been in a lawsuit with some people. I've like had my music taken down off licensing sites, So you get past enough of those and you're like, well, I'm not going to go work at Starbucks again. I'm going to keep doing this. I've made it through these really hard things, and you keep, like you say, Kirk, you keep your focus on your craft and improving what you do and the people that and that, the connections you've made. And I feel like, the doors kind of continue to open, which is it's a really cool thing to kind of like take a step back and look at how those things do happen, because there's like a bigger human experience element, I think, that just plays into that. That's kind of really cool to just kind of observe as we go through the journey of making music and meeting people, and, you have these really hard times, but it's like, yes, I've been through this and something else is going to come, so.
Yeah. I'll just throw a little zinger in there, just to keep things moving. I remember I had somebody who did all my mixing and mastering for me early on for a lot of projects and stuff, and did a good job. But there were some personal issues, and the relationship kind of fell out. It didn't kind of fall out. The relationship straight up fell out. And I remember I was kind of zeroing in on another project. I forget which release it was, but I was just kind of coming down the gun, and there was a moment of losing this guy who I'd come to depend on him for helping me get a lot of this Dear Gravity stuff across the finish line, post-production wise. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm ever going to get the Dear Gravity sound from anyone else. Like, it was very much believing like a worst case scenario instead of being optimistic, like, well, let me go try some other people. This might be a really good thing. Let me see what I can do, this and that. I was very pessimistic about it, and just believed that, and to be fair, like, it's worth it to mourn the fact that I was really proud of what we had made together, for sure, and that was kind of coming to an end. But to believe that there was no opportunity for things to get, or to meet that same standard or to exceed that standard, that was pretty short-sighted of me. And, cut to, of course, a relationship that was developed with Benjamin Lincoln, who we all know and love over the years. And he's come to do so much work for all of us and for a lot of people and on a lot of different labels. And he's great. I love how he handles my individual lanes of sound. He does a great job with that. But yeah, I think if I were to go back and redo that season, I would just try to not freak out about something ending and be like, you know what? Like, there will be a new way around this. There will, something else is going to come. And, again, I think we're hearing sort of a common theme. Tough stuff has led to things getting better, or things being explored in a way that we wouldn't have explored otherwise. And that's a great takeaway, that just punch your way through the tough stuff, through the battles, and there's going to be gold on the other side. But yeah, it was a tough one to lose the guy who really, kind of helped me get the sound off the ground, get the post-production side off the ground, and then that just fell through. But really thankful for the post-production side to be solved in a lot of ways by Benjamin and Marsh. You do such a great job for all the slow echo stuff and everything. And yeah,
Thanks.
I'm just really grateful for where that is all at now. Yeah.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
you go.
Oh, no. I'm not going. I'm changing subjects. So someone go.
Well, all I was going to say was it, and I don't think I necessarily mentioned this for me, but it's like I kind of transitioned jobs before I kind of started the production thing. And then that kind of turned into what I'm doing now. But it's like, it sounds like a lot of times when something is ripped out from underneath us that we were standing on, that we thought was kind of the solid ground, it forces us to make a choice. And it sounds like in all of our cases, the choice you make kind of takes you into a further deeper part of what you're doing. And so in the moment, usually that pulling out of the rug, it just feels crappy, just terrible.
Yeah.
And I don't think that ever goes away. But we have the benefit of hindsight now to say, like, that was actually the moment that kind of pushed us out of the nest or pushed us out into this thing. So just to encourage anyone who's listening, if the rug is currently being pulled out, then there is definitely an opportunity for something that is bigger than you know right now.
Yeah, we have a really good way as humans of kind of putting fences around what we have already experienced and not giving enough opportunity for those fences to be just completely knocked down because there's something that's going to be rebuilt that is 100 times more beautiful, more spacious, and more all of this. We just kind of go to what we know. And so I'm in just constant reminder of myself, like, hey, just, it's good to have ideas. It's good to have vision for what's right here, but also, like, don't let that become a limiting belief that this is, it almost feels more like prison walls instead of opportunity, fences of opportunity. And so for there to be freedom to dream and freedom to be okay with something taking a left-hand turn, and you don't really know how, what's going to happen in a couple of years, but you know that you're going to stay proactive. I was just talking with someone about that earlier. For the first time in a long time, I've got more passion for Dear Gravity than ever, but I have less specific vision on what needs to happen in the next couple of years. I just want to ride the wave of the, just what is, like, musically happening right now. And I know that there's going to be cool things that come, but I'm trying to make room for that to sort of shape shift along the way instead of really cementing, and I need to get this out in a couple of years, and so I'm going to start working at this and that. Like, it's not bad. Again, I'm going to kind of repeat myself, but, like, it's not bad to have that goal or that vision, but if it's done so in a way where it just completely shackles you and does not allow you to rise above that or beyond that, it kind of sets that limit in a way where there could have been more, but you were kind of focusing over here and you weren't looking over there. I think that's the thing that I'm trying to get myself out of at this point. So yeah. Anyway,
I think, like, it's interesting just reflecting on all of our kind of stories, and, like, I think we've all been kind of part of the music industry in some way, shape or form for really quite some time. For me, I was, I had a record label in a university. And, like, I was doing, like, radio shows talking about different music we were kind of releasing. That, that's completely in the past, but that's like 25, I don't know how many years ago that is, but it's a long time ago. And, like,
400 years ago.
Like, from my late teens, I was, actively producing electronic music and actively trying to get it out. And so I've been doing this for, most of my life now. And I think what it makes me kind of reflect on is that life is just not linear, right? Even if you have that seed of an idea, even if I do now kind of what I was hoping to do when I was 18, 19, like, even if there are similarities there, the way I've got here is, like, all over the place. And I've had different jobs, and I've different part-time things, and, styles of music change, and you have these kind of massive issues that you have to kind of pivot from. And I think, like, that's a really beautiful thing to kind of keep with you when you think about the future. And to know, even if you're, like you're saying, Mike, even if you have a goal that you're kind of like ultimately going towards, it's okay if you take a whole bunch of left and right turns along the way. And you may end up somewhere completely different as well. And you'll only be able to see that kind of from hindsight. And just to kind of rest in that and be like, it's okay that life isn't linear, but you just kind of, you have to kind of basically just trust yourself that you've got what it takes to kind of get where you need to go.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast with a guy from a band of sorts, and he had gone through, some really hard personal times, rehab and health problems and things like that. And he kind of said something that struck me, that was like, when those times do happen where I really think that, everything is falling from under me and it's not going to be able to keep going. And it's like, he said, if I kind of try to look out and see like, okay, other people in my close friends of mine and family and people that I don't know have gone through these similar experiences like this and have felt this same way that I have. And they've been able to come out on the other side too. And so he kind of took a piece in that. And that's a lot of what we're describing right now. But I think that struck me in a way that, whether it is in our career as artists or things in our personal lives, it's a good thing to try and just, keep in your mind if you can, because a lot of times I feel like you can feel really sort of lonely in those moments. Yeah. And just to try and remember, that you're not the only one that's kind of like facing that. We're all facing those things in different ways. Knowing that, okay, like these guys have come out from these things that are really tough, like maybe that can offer some encouragement, in that moment. So yeah, I thought that was cool.
Absolutely. And I think just to plug the All Ambient Discord server, there's such a great community that's coming together. And I think for there to be that freedom, there is that freedom for people to weigh in on the things that they're dealing with. And I see people answering each other's questions and, helping, people work through different issues, whether it's technical or personal or just all the things that it can be so great, like you just said, Marsh, to one, hear that other people are dealing with something similar or have dealt with something similar. But number two, that you are not alone in how do I figure this out? Like there can be just such a bonding experience. Even have somebody else be like, hey, have you blah, 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 or whatever. I just think, even just going through the two stories that I've shared, to have both of those. Ben, you were instrumental in helping, me tie in with the people at Identity. That was just such a, like so grateful for that. You probably saved my vacation in a lot of senses, and just really grateful for that. But also for Benjamin Lincoln and, the relationship that was built up there, which I know that relationship was already kind of established, but to do kind of a personal one with him and sort of in the earlier days of what he began doing for, all the different artists. I know that to have the people, the faces attached to those next steps was a really big deal. And so plug in that Discord server for sure. Come and jump on it. The link is in the show notes. Yeah, if you got stuff that you're trying to figure out, just questions, or you just want to vent for a second, it's a really safe place to do it. And chances are that somebody else has gone through the same thing and might have a thing or two to offer you as far as help or advice or just a listening ear. So very cool.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure we could go for a really, really long time on more battle stories. Maybe we save for another round down the line. Anything else that we need to sneak in before we wrap this one up?
Not from me, surprisingly.
Drudged up enough bad memories to for one night. Gonna need to go spend a little while repressing those things.
Yeah, seriously. Gotta go think good thoughts after this.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say real quick, actually, since you asked, like in the way that the music industry is changing, it's like, I know that we all still feel this way in some sense, right? Like so much of how, we're able to do this right now relies on things that could change or just go away at any moment. Yes. Like as we continue, I'm going to try to keep that in mind, that we've made it through, these challenging seasons. But yeah, it's it's never something, right, that like fully maybe will go away. And I think that's also kind of the nature of just, doing creative stuff and making art and putting it out there. Is there's always this thing of like, how's this going to change and that. So trying to roll with it,
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for being vulnerable. I know that I appreciate it. I know that everyone who's watching and listening appreciates it as well. Good things. Yeah. And hey, way to press through it. Onward. Yep. Let's keep making the thing.
Onward. We made an episode without talking about AI. How about that?
Yeah.
Until that last moment right there.
Got it in there, yeah.
Marsh almost did.
I know, that's what triggered us.
Yeah,
with the things that are happening, we don't know what.
I didn't say it specifically. This episode's brought to you by Suno.
Hey,
gotta go. Oh man. Oh, love it. You guys are the best.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks again for joining us on the All Ambient podcast. This is about as shameless of a plug as it gets, but it really does help for those of you who are watching to give us a rating if you're on any podcast platform like Apple or Spotify or anything like that. On YouTube, we would love a follow, a subscribe, a like, all that fun stuff. And please leave a comment, a review, whatever is applicable to the right place that you're finding this. It really does go a long way. You don't have to make anything up by any means, but if there's some value in this podcast for you, we'd love to hear about it. We, as the All Ambient family, would love to meet you. I know it does my heart good, as well as everybody else who's involved at All Ambient. So please do so. Come back and join us next week. We got another great episode coming your way. And until then, here's hoping that this music and the hearts behind it make your day and your life that much better. Thanks.